What's up, and welcome back to the Kinda Funny Screencast. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I'm joined by the producer slash seducer, Nick Scarpino.
I'm gonna say right now, Tim, game on. You know what I'm talking about? Game on.
Game on, man. We've been saying the game is back, and I'm feeling it extra hard on this beautiful Monday morning. I want to let y'all know, though, it's not just me and Nick today. For all you video watchers out there that might think, oh, it's just Tim and Nick today. No, we actually have a very hidden secret reveal. Reveal yourself.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I don't know why I'm
Let me
not
see it. Where are
showing
you?
up. I'm right here somewhere.
We're dealing with some technical issues right now and some stuff.
Sure
Kevin is going to be at the very least audio only, but hey, he might show up when you least expect him. You know.
I'm really big for some reason. Hold on.
He's so big.
Why am I so big?
You could shrink yourself down.
I am.
Genetics.
So this is the Kinda Funny Screencast. Each and every week, we get together to talk about the latest in TV, movies, and trailers. We have so much going on right now. Every week, we're reacting to Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, and Marvel. So stay tuned for all of that. You can watch live right here when we record the episodes on youtube.com/kindafunny, or you can watch it later on that same page if you are not available at the time we record it, but that's totally cool. If you want to listen to it, you can search your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny Screencast, and we'll be right there for you. And if you want to get the show ad-free, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Molecule, Al Tribesman, and Fargo Brady on YouTube have all done. Thank you all. We appreciate you. You make things happen. Speaking of things happening, it's finally happening. Friday the 14th, we're moving into the spare bedroom, our 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art studio in San Francisco, and you're invited to the marathon stream to end all marathon streams. It starts at 10 a.m. Pacific. Cisco's going to be there. James and Elise are going to be there. It's going to be fantastic. Some of your favorite things that Kinda Funny's ever done will happen on this day. I guarantee it. You don't want to miss it. Friday, October 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And now that means the next week is going to be a little bit different. Monday the 10th, we're going to record Kinda Funny Games Daily and the final Kinda Funny podcast from home, but all other content except for Greg's Gregway video or vlogs on Patreon will be canceled as we move in and prep for the Friday stream. So no new content, or very, very few pieces of content Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Just wanted to prepare you for that, for the stream to end all streams on Friday. We hope you'll be there. What's up, Kev?
I mean, should we say that they're being canceled or just put like
canceled? Done.
Okay.
They did horrible things. Each and every one of them. Don't want to speak of them again. Don't want to speak of them again. Today we're brought to you by Chime and Canvas QHD monitors, but I'll tell you about that later. Nick Scarpino, I want to start with you. What'd you think of the game this week?
This was a weird episode. And it started off very odd, and then it ended very, very strongly, I felt. We talked about it last week of everyone, the game really finally kicking off between Rhaenyra and Alicent, but I think I was wrong. I think this week was the point on the blacktop where they were like, okay, we're picking teams now, right? Everyone's gonna sit here, and we got Alicent on one side, Rhaenyra on the other, and everyone just gets to pick one person from the team. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't know who's gonna win this game, because the ending with her basically making that, starting to get more political and starting to make that choice, not only from passion, but from understanding that teaming up with Daemon basically makes them a very unstoppable force. And then, of course, that same shot mirrored as the queen is watching them from a ship, and then she's got her own little finger, a guy, the little bumblebee guy coming around, and she's putting her team together. We got that great scene with her and Rhys Ifans where he's like, I never saw that side of you, and up until this point, I didn't think you're ready for the game, but damn it, you're ready for the game, and so am I.
Well said, Nick. Well said. Kev, what'd you think?
Oh my God, dude, I'm so in. This show continues to get me more and more worked up every week. And Nick's right. Like, this is it, man. Like, the lines have been drawn in the sand, and we're seeing where people are falling. People are making trades, and Eye for a Dragon, pretty solid trade, I think.
Pretty
you know
good
what I
trade.
mean? Yeah, and that's a big old dragon, too. So I'm stoked. Like, this stuff, stuff's about to get wily in like the best way. We see another big time jump coming. I'm so excited. This show continues to be Game of Thrones, the digest, just the good stuff. Give me the abridged version. Let's go. It's so fast. I actually find it really fun to trying to put all the pieces together, and then the way this one ended, I was blown away with the little reveal that like bro's still alive, and he's just gonna go live his happy life, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that
for them.
reveal, and until you realize you're like, oh, Damon's not a bad guy after all. This guy's alive, and he and his
he
lover
did
get to go away, and then you go, wait,
did-
he killed a guy.
Yeah,
He killed a random
that
kid.
random
Fucking solid
henchman.
snakes him, dude.
Random. It wasn't even a henchman. I think it was like one of the guys that cleans the castle. He was like, oh, what's up? Oh no, and then he's dead. This poor guy.
Damon, why?
Why?
It's funny because like that moment where the body's in the flames, I'm like, oh, that seems like that probably took some time to like throw that body in there, get it burned to that degree. And that one guy was like, I'm gonna go get help. Like that's where like there's a little bit of fantasy. You gotta just assume that everything is like, all right, the timing, I'm sure it works out in the thing. But like for a moment when they cut to the body that's half on fire, I was like, that's a weird call. Like you can't even really tell it's him. And then of course we get the reveal, and I was like,
You got games, Kevin. You got games. I love it. I love to see it. Honestly, this show just keeps getting better for me. I am so surprised. I'm with Nick that it started weird. When this episode first began and we're in this kind of like really extended funeral scene that they let just be quiet a lot, I was like, what are they trying to accomplish here? And it wasn't until like halfway through the scene, as the tension started rising and the quiet started going from being like awkward to unnerving, that I was like, oh my God, this is the first time we've really had all the major players kind of like hanging out in the same area. And they're all like, because of the time jumps, they might have seen each other in the last couple of years. We don't know that. So we're still trying to figure it out. And I thought they did a really good job of like in that scene establishing, okay, here's where they all are at now. Last time we saw them, they were in a different place. And I know the time jump between these episodes is not really a time jump, but it's more like there was the last time jump, but since some of these characters have seen each other. And I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm into this. When he like walks by and like calls her his first wife's name, when the king like is in the beginning, like leaving the funeral, and like is walking by the guards, and he's like, you come with me, you stay with her, whatever.
Right.
All those like little things, I was like, oh, it's fucking on. And I love that this episode, this king, man, like I've had so many feelings about him throughout the show, but at this point, he's just trying to like keep everyone happy. Everyone around him is just, he just wants them to be cool. Hey, family, like, come on, man. Like, let's just be cool at the barbecue. And everyone's like, no, we all have to fucking either fuck each other or kill each other. And he's like, can you just stop that? Can you please? And they just won't. And seeing the rest of the episode play out, I thought was absolutely incredible. I can't believe we're getting this many back-to-back episodes that have big Game of Thrones moments, but I think that is what this time jump type show allows. And what I find really interesting is I've been a little bit not sure if the time jump stuff is absolutely working for me, if it's going to sustain or whatever. And I think now I'm starting to realize it is making the show really work for me as a standalone thing that is like next to Game of Thrones, as opposed to just being compared directly to it. Because this was originally, if I understand correctly, Kev, a history book, right? Like the book, The Written Fire and Blood, whatever. It wasn't about like stories and stuff. It was more like account of the history of things. And watching the show feels that way, where it's like, oh, it's like reading a history book where you just get like a chapter that's about this, and then you jump to the next chapter and it's about way later in the future, because they're not covering all the little events. I think it really works.
I think it's more of a gossip book, but go ahead.
So basically, this is the Gossip Girl of Game of Thrones, basically.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Nick.
I heard there actually was a VO that they cut from this in the beginning and end of every episode.
Just Daenerys.
Yeah.
It's like, if you, I mean, I wish I knew enough about Gossip Girl to pull something for you there, Tim. I'm sorry. I know this episode, and I think it's I can't remember who used to do the VO for that. Wasn't it someone famous?
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't Blake Lively. She was in it. No, Blake Lively was in it. She was the Gossip Girl. Oh no, it was Penn Badgley.
Yes,
was in it too, right?
Wait,
he didn't do the narration. Who did the narration?
I think it was Veronica Mars, Kristen Bell, right?
It was Kristen Bell. That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Falcon.
Do you think she goes by Veronica still? If you go Veronica at a coffee shop, she goes, all right, I'll take the coffee.
I think she looks. She looks.
No, at the very, she might not look, but she definitely has that like. And then she'll look, actually. She'll do the deep sigh that you don't see, and then she looks.
No, I kind of feel like she's into it. Let's get back to Game of Thrones.
Back to the Thrones, man. Absolutely love this episode.
I was gonna say, like, I loved the seahorse being like, bro, bloodlines don't matter. Bloodlines end. Names matter. Like that
Yeah,
kid
that was
has my
badass.
last name, and that's what matters. Because at the end of
That's
the
all that
day,
matters.
like he's not wrong that like what his two granddaughters, they're gonna lose their name when they marry, right? So right now, that second kid, he's the only one that's gonna carry the name forward, right? Because the first one is gonna be renamed Targaryen once he becomes king, and like
Mm-hmm.
we don't see any Valerians or whatever the hell the last name is like in the future. So it's like, bro, like you should have had your bets a little bit better, a little stronger, you
Yeah,
know?
totally. I loved the music this episode. Like the scope of this show, like they're really like flexing and pushing their budget a lot. And like, sometimes it doesn't work when you're dealing with dragons and some shots can look a little shoddy, but I was very impressed with the scale of the dragon itself, the big dog
Oh
when
yeah,
Oh, that
the
was
lead
yeah,
was
yeah.
dealing with
Yeah,
it. I
that
was
was
like,
really cool looking.
God damn, like that shit was so good. I saw online a lot of people were complaining about how dark the episode was.
Well, there
But
there
like,
was the moment where the younger kid that loses the eye goes to look for the dragon was absurdly dark. Now, granted, we have the greatest TVs for it, so I like turned off all
No,
the rooms.
no, that was the worstly colored thing I've ever seen. And Game of Thrones has historically been dark, but literally, Kev, I was like, I can't see what the fuck is going on with this right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I'm saying like once I turned off all the lights, I was like, oh okay, I can see everything.
yeah, that's the interesting thing about it is like when we last saw Game of Thrones, there was an HDR because it was like the olden days of before HBO Max,
Uh-huh.
and like that one episode, the long night, like that was so hard to see anything. For this one, for me, I was like, I can fucking see this shit, but I was like, oh, this is gonna be a problem for so many motherfuckers because they were just not gonna have the HDR to be able to deal with this. Because like, yeah, it was poorly done, I would say.
It was very
Like,
poorly done.
It was just so extreme, where it's like y'all didn't need to go that hard.
No. Well, you know what it is? I think a lot of it's shot day for night. I think they do that side of sort of photography, and they're like, let's err on the side of it being too dark rather than too light, and having it look like it's all happening early morning. But man, it was just on my TV, on my LG, it was indecipherable. Could not see what the heck was going on for like a good 5 minutes.
When they did the shot of them looking at like the sun like going down, I literally like was like, oh no, did they not fucking learn? And then I looked it up, and it's the same director that did the Long Night episode.
He
And I'm
really
like,
you know what it is? Somebody needs to sneak into his editing bay and tweak the brightness settings way down on his monitor, because this guy's like, I like it dark, and you're like,
I like it dark.
It's a little too dark. We could have put like we just needed like a 10% increase just in gain, just a little bump. Let's get those black levels just a little higher.
yeah.
Well, what's
Trevor,
wild is that not too long after that, we like see like once he gets on the dragon, like the moon suddenly is lighting everyone up. And it's just like, oh, I feel like the moon was just as prevalent a minute ago. You know what I mean? They even show us a shot of the dark ass moon, and it's like, all right, we didn't have to. Like, you could have made it a little brighter, but whatever. It's Game of Thrones. They'll figure out their lighting issues eventually. It's a small show.
Yeah,
This
small
kid,
show,
man.
limited budget.
Shout out to this kid, this damn little motherfucker, Aemond, the one that gets the dragon. Like this whole
Shout out to
scene of him
being bold, hanging off the top. When they cut to that scene that shows him hanging, and his little feet are like really hanging on. He's only grasping by the top. I was like, man, there should have been like a strap you buckle in on or something. But like that was so cool, and for him to be like, all right, this is my dragon now. Bold. I love that as soon as he gets to the dragon, he is a piece of shit that is just like,
I love it.
Hey man, fuck you. Maybe you get her a pig, huh?
I mean, it's vindication for this poor kid who's been teased by his cousins and largely by his older brother, true, but the cousins as well were a little complicit in it.
Yeah.
And having him walk off and having the two daughters, Damon's daughters, be like, hey, that's our mom's dragon, like that's ours, and he goes, then you should have claimed it.
Yep.
And then just walking away like a boss, like I saw an opportunity, I took it. And then no future spoilers, of course, but I don't know if you guys watched the time jump that's happening next. But this kid grows up, and he grows up fierce, and he looks awesome with that cut eye. Right now, he looks a little like a young Draco Malfoy, but he's gonna get older, and this kid wants the throne. You can tell from the get go. His older brother pulling a Homelander and Windows for the rest of his life, right? Just kind of just jacking off all over King's Landing.
Confirmed. Same window that Tommen killed himself in.
Oh, really?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's huge.
Somebody, I saw a Twitter thing like breaking it down, and I'm like, this is awesome. Hell yeah. This little dude, he's up there.
Yeah, I mean, I love that whole scene. I love the varying degrees of issues that everyone has with you, like beef. There's so much beef everywhere in this episode. All these young kids are going to grow up. They're all going to get resources of their own, and they're all going to have beef. And then you've got, of course, the main beef, which is the queen and Rhaenyra, or I should say, the princess and the queen, right? And also just the king. How long can the king hold on for? Because you know that.
Yeah.
He's just holding on just long enough to get all the pieces in place, and then he's going to just drop dead, and then boom, it's going to be game on.
How sad was it when he was like, Damon, come home. Like, just come and come home. Like, let's stop with these squabbles. Come home. And he was just like, bro, you look like shit. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go bang your daughter.
Well, it's crazy because you see him kind of come full circle, right? Where he was very, very tenacious and sort of wanted the throne for himself, failed, rectified that, and was like, I just don't want any part of that life, man. I'm not like that. It's to put it in terms that I think that everyone can understand, very much where we found Terry Silva at the beginning of Cobra Kai season 4, where he's like, guys, I found my Zen place right now. And then John Kreese brings him back in, and now he's back into the game, baby, and looking good.
I think to your point too, it's interesting to see how much the king has grown, where in the earlier episodes, he very much was like, hey, there's certain rules you just got to follow. And like, there's a system to this. You really have to just stick to the rules. It's what we do. And then the more the time goes on, the more he's just like, all right, well, we're going to do this because that's what makes my life easier right now. And we're going to do that because that's better for you. And like, he's made so many choices and decisions that led to where they're all at now. And it's like, so much of it falls back on him. And I just think it's interesting. There's a lot of like speeches he gives, and especially in this episode when he's like kind of going off on everyone in the room. He's like, you motherfuckers. Like when all the kids are just squabbling, like he's like, so what happened? And all of them just start like yapping and yelling. It's like such a good scene because you see the king just being here like, I'm the fucking king of Game of Thrones.
Right.
And I have to deal with this type of bullshit. Like, and just seeing the way that he handled it, I thought they did a really good job with. But I do love that they just keep teasing his death. Even in this episode, he's getting wheeled away with his wife. And he's just fucking like dying in the corner. It's like, damn, bro.
Yeah, he's not long for, I mean, one day it'll probably be, you have to imagine the next episode he's dead, right?
I mean, I thought that 4 episodes ago. But I want to keep talking about this guy and a whole bunch of other things. But before we do that, let's take a word from our sponsors. Shout out to NZXT Canvas gaming monitors. We are huge fans of NZXT here at Kinda Funny. And I got to say, these monitors, they're Andy Cortez approved, Kevin Coelho approved, and Tim Geddes approved because of their sweet 1440p resolution with 165 hertz refresh rate and 1 millisecond response hits. That sweet spot for gamers due to the balance of picture and performance. They're available in 27-inch and 32-inch curved displays, variable refresh rate support for all of the major GPUs. They provide an excellent gaming experience for any game genre. You can get the monitor just alone, you can get it with a stand, or you can get it with some pretty cool mounts. There's built-in software support with NZXT Cam that lets you control all your monitor settings directly on your PC. No need to mess with the clunky hardware menus to lock in your desired settings. They thought of it all. It's sold exclusively on nzxt.com. You can learn more about the NZXT Canvas gaming monitors at nzxt.co/kindafunny. That's nzxt.co/kindafunny. Shout out to Chime for sponsoring this episode. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it checking up on your credit score? I don't think so. At Chime, that's exactly what they do. With their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money. All of this with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. You can start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. You can get started at chime.com/kfgames. That's chime.com/kfgames. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank NA pursuant to a license from Visa, USA Chime checking account, and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some users' scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs in the 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Get your credit journey started with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes, doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/kfgames. And we're back. everybody.
We sure are. We sure are.
When they flew through the birds, it was
Yeah.
scary. It was a little scary. You know, I was sitting here thinking about the realities of these dragon riders. I never thought about them. I never thought about their health and safety.
They don't have goggles in the game. Where someone's got to admit, you want to make $1 billion in King's Landing, you put some goggles on these dragon riders. Like just to get the racquetball ones that are just a little too tight but look like bug eyes, so you can see where the ball's coming from. I love that he got the big dragon, by the way, and I love how we're like, oh, that's a pretty big dragon, and then at the end of the episode where where Otto's like, that is his sacrifice was not even close to what we gained for getting that big dog dragon. That's like getting a fucking aircraft carrier for the army that's coming up. What a cool end to that episode. And I love that they got Rhys Ifans back and he's just back in the game, high level playing. Awesome.
Dude, honestly, I lost my shit. Like when we were at the funeral in the beginning and we see the shot of the hand thing, I was like, oh baby. Yeah. And like based on the previously on, I was like, it's probably like Otto's back, he's gonna be back. And then he was, and I was like, this is what we wanted, man. Like I love it. Just real quick, I just want to say, we'll get back to Otto in one sec. I definitively, and I've believed this before, but now I can say it just assuredly, there was no greater previously on to channel sound effect to theme song than Game of Thrones. You get this previously on. They put so much art and craft into it. They have custom scores and soundtracks with this shit, guiding your journey, making you think about things you haven't thought about for a couple weeks. Then all of a sudden you see that HBO little static screen thing and you're like, oh, I already got chills. And then they fucking hit you with that theme song. Are you goddamn kidding me?
No, it's incredible. They're doing the whole thing, man. They know what they're doing, and they're tugging at the heartstrings. I will say, like one of the things we talked about earlier was the episode's moving so fast. It's such a fast clip forward. It is unfortunate that we don't see some of these big moments. Like I would not be surprised if the king himself died off camera, which sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
Hightower getting the hand, you know what I mean? Like I was like, that was going to be a big moment where you have to imagine that. I wanted to see Rhaenyra's reaction to that, right? I wanted to see the king's reaction to having to offer him that again and making that peace, but instead we just kind of like, he's just sort of there.
I feel like we are getting big moments, like her reaction to finding out this dude killed his own brother and father. And then he was like, well, your dad is going to be the hand again. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that does a good job filling in that spot of it actually happening. That's why I'm saying we're getting the condensed version. We're seeing the reaction, but it's just the reaction of Alicent finding out, oh yeah, this guy got killed so that your dad could come back. And she's sitting there being like, that's not what I want. And he's like, well, that's what happened.
He's like, oh, it will be eventually one day.
Yeah, and I think that's dope, and I'm like so ready. Like the show is doing such a good job, kind of weaving us through. Hey, here's the setup for this event. Here's the payoff that really matters the most, and like the whole like dynamic of the world is gonna change after this, and it's like it does, and that's dope. I'm so in.
Yeah, and I love that last scene too, where it's that payoff of he's like, if you want an eye, I can get you an eye, and she's like, nope, don't do that.
Yep, no,
like
no,
right now,
don't do that. Because I learned my lesson about asking you for stuff.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's a don't do that, because I think she's finally realizing after that conversation with her father that she's got to be a lot more strategic, and this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, right? She even has that moment where she's like scared of him, where she's like, don't do that. But then she goes, the day might come when I ask you for something. Like, I'll let you know what's going on. Like keeping him in the back pocket. So realizing that even this guy's going to have a use in the impending storm.
So we keep talking about how this show feels like some of the best moments of Game of Thrones and like condensed in different ways. And what I really like about elements of this episode are we have this guy with the cane who's like such an interesting, cool villain and like the perfect type of schemy dude that we expect to see in this, right? But I like seeing him paired with her, especially this late in the game, because seeing this episode, I got a lot of like, I felt homages to the Sansa Arya situation in episode 1 or 2 of the original series, where they were back in Winterfell and Joffrey started shit with the girls, and then Ned had to get involved and they ended up having to kill one of the wolves. And it was just this like dumb kid squabble, but like it made choosing sides really awkward because of who was king and all that stuff.
Right.
that reminded me a lot of the scene we got of all of them kind of together having to deal with the squabble between the women, and then it kind of ending with her with this Kane dude. It really reminded me of Sansa in later seasons, where she gets to come into her own, and especially when she starts working with Littlefinger, and it's like there's like she's getting that confidence and all that. I was like, oh man, this is cool. I really dig this.
Well, we have that great moment where she's about to stab Rhaenyra, and she's like, now people see you for who you really are.
Yeah.
And then she has that great moment beforehand where she's like, I've done all the things I'm supposed to do, right? I was the one that was like, I was respectful, I had honor, I did everything I was supposed to do. And then as she's holding a knife trying to kill the princess, and you're realizing like, hey, maybe we just need to tell everyone to go fuck themselves and do what we want to do and start taking over shit, which is exactly what I think we're gonna see in the next couple episodes.
She was trying to take the kid's eye, right?
Oh yeah, but viciously, and showing her true colors for once, and then realizing later, because her dad was pretty much told her so, which was that he's like, hey, I didn't know you had that in you, and that's powerful. Like, don't hide that part. Like, let's just hone that. Let's not put it out there again, but let's make sure this is you and this is who you are going forward, and let's be strategic and start winning things. But it's that I thought that was such a cool scene.
I love Damon grabbing Cole and just being like, no, you like in that moment where there's she's coming after her, because like what was Cole gonna do? He was probably gonna stop Allison, right? Like that makes the most sense for that, for like being her bodyguard.
Well, he said he was like, she goes, I want you to go cut his eye out, and he goes, I'm your sworn protector.
Right.
Like I don't think he was going to do it, but I think there was a moment where the scuffle happened and Cole stepped forward like, it's time to wreck shit, and that's when Damon stepped in, which is like, I love that, because obviously these guys, they've already squared off against each other, and Cole won, if you remember correctly, in episode 1. So it's interesting to have them be like, oh, we got beef too. And so when he stepped in, Damon stepping in front of him, I think was like, oh man, this is gonna come to a head.
But I got the feeling that he was stepping in front of him to stop him from stopping Allison, so that Allison and Rhaenyra could have that moment of like, because like he's on Rhaenyra's side of this, right? Where he was just like, let her go as wild as possible, let her look as bad as possible in front of all these people. That's what I got out of that moment.
Yeah, that's probably true. It was just what a good scene, and just let's shout out to Matt Smith, who's just continues to be the best part of this show. I think he's so good. He's his acting's so nuanced, and you just don't know where he's at. He slips so easily into like conniving and then honest, and he has these true moments where you're like, oh, that's really him. Maybe it's not. We don't fucking know where he lies. And does he love her? Is he with her? Because remember, he's the one that tried to get with her and seduce her originally, just to get the throne, to get exactly where he is right now. So that worked, but we'll never know actually how he really feels.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know his true emotions, because like all he wants is to be king. And it's so interesting to remember him in the first episode of the season, where he was the de facto like future king,
right,
coming in and being like the badass, we're like going and murdering a bunch of people and just being like, hey man, I'm gonna be ruler, to like this episode where at the start of it he looks really down. Like it looks like he's lost a lot of his, like the things that he had been trying to set up, and now he's just kind of like, I don't know, I'm really bummed. And then at the end of it, now he's playing the game again, and guess what? He's king consort.
Yeah, consult.
Is that right? Consult.
Is that what it is?
Corset.
I don't know.
It's a corset, right?
Corset. Oh, I don't know. Corset's the thing you put around your stomach that I wish I was wearing right now.
I was joking.
By the way, I love that moment where she's like, he's like, I'm sorry about your wife. Did you love her? He goes, we were happy enough. And it's like, damn, dude.
Damn, dude. Damn. I mean, he was like laughing at her funeral. Like there was like all those things. Well,
he laughed at that one moment where I had to rewind it, because I was like, that's an odd laugh. And I didn't catch quite what the guy was saying, but he was talking about how blood has to stick together, basically. And David just laughed. And everyone's like, oh, a lot of unsaid shit here, which is good. Man.
It's like I think he is so good, and I love that there is so much truth in him, and like you can see moments where you're just like, oh shit, like you're not just this conniving bastard, but you're more often than not a conniving bastard.
Yeah,
and like he just oozes charisma too on screen, and like you just believe in him so much. I gotta say, I'm still not feeling the vibe of the adult Rhaenyra, and their chemistry just doesn't have the same like icky X factor that the younger actress did. And for some reason, the younger actress and Matt Smith, like I just felt like that was so much more palpable and believable than what we're getting here.
Well, it was way more taboo feeling, right? Because I mean, you are seeing a bigger age difference within them, and then I think that really sold sort of like his intentions and how insidious and fucked up they were. I will say that I have the opposite reaction where I love Olivia Cook, but it's so odd that they cast her as opposed to her younger self, who must have been what 3 or 4 years younger. It's just like they could have
Really
just kept the other actor, but
or just had Olivia the whole time. Like
just had
that
Olivia
was a weird
Cook
one
the
for me.
whole time.
But I like both of them though. That is the difference.
I like the new Rhaenyra too. I do. I just think that, like, to me, I guess the Alicents are close, too close together, and then the Rhaenyras are a little too far away from each other. But I mean, you are casting a whole other human being, so you know you get what you get. I think she has a good I'll disagree a little. I think she has good chemistry with Daemon. I just think it's way different. Like, and I think maybe that might be by design because she is an adult now, capable of making her own decisions, and she's willingly going back into this. Well, I guess you could actually start breaking that down and be like, well, he did actually like groom her from a very young age to make her come to this conclusion for sure. But I think she's making it. What's interesting about this and what's so complex about it is, she's still making the decision, but she's making the decision less from I want you, I need you, you fulfill my passions and my love, and more from like, hey, we're about to go to war, and you're a great ally to have. So it is strategic, but I want to see. I'm curious if has anyone to confide in where we're like, why are you doing this? And she's like, he's gonna try to kill me, so I'll kill him eventually. But right now, I'm just using him for where he is. Or if she's like super in love with him, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of cool stuff to think about. We only have 3 episodes left, and that is such a shame. I want this to keep going. But let us know in the comments below what you thought about this episode. We'll be back with even more. But until next time, I love you all. Goodbye.